This chart compares typical global Democratic turnout, usually between 50 and 70%, against recent activity in West Bengal. Districts reported participation rarely seen in modern elections, 89% in some areas, 93% in Dinajpur, and peaking at 95% in Raghunathganj. In Bengal, searches on this scale historically precede major shifts in power. In 2011, a similar wave ended the 34-year tenure of the left government. When populations move in these numbers, the status quo rarely survives. Political analysts are currently struggling to interpret this data. No one can say for certain if these millions of voters are acting as a shield to protect the incumbent government or as a force intended to install the challenger. To find the answer, we must look past the loud campaign rallies and media narratives. The real mechanics of this election are visible in these quiet rural cues, where the atmosphere is one of focused determination rather than campaign excitement. A 90% turnout suggests an electorate that is no longer just participating in a process, but reacting to specific perceived threats. When nearly every eligible citizen leaves their home to vote, it indicates a population mobilized by issues they consider to be existential. The first major driver of this turnout is a bureaucratic process known as the Special Intensive Revision, or SIR. While it is presented as a technical review of citizenship, its implementation triggered widespread alarm. This visualization shows the scale of the panic. Nearly 9 million names, 10% of the voter base, were deleted from the rolls during verification. These deletions were concentrated in border districts like Malda and Murshidabad, home to significant minority and Matua communities. For these residents, the act of voting became a method of self-verification. Standing in line was no longer about choosing a representative. It was a physical requirement to prove they legally belong in the country. For millions of people, the ballot box was the primary mechanism left to secure their identity. This fear of erasure drove people to the polls who might otherwise have stayed home. While fear of erasure drives one segment, female voters turn out in higher proportions than men, navigating a different set of conflicting pressures. On one side is a deep financial loyalty. The incumbent government's Lakshmi Bhandar scheme has built a direct economic link between the state and the household. By putting cash directly into the hands of rural women, the state provided a level of economic autonomy. For many families, this monthly transfer is a tangible reason to support the existing administration. But this economic support is weighed against a growing anxiety regarding physical safety. Recent violence has changed the public conversation. The unrest at Sandeshkhali and the tragedy at RG Medical College brought the issue of women's safety to the forefront, creating a sharp contrast with the government's welfare promises. This creates a difficult choice inside the voting booth. A voter must decide whether to prioritize the financial support that sustains her home or the physical security she feels has been compromised. This tension makes the female vote difficult to predict. It forces millions of individuals to choose between immediate economic welfare and their fundamental sense of personal safety. Much of the media coverage focuses on a simple two-party contest. However, the 90% turnout includes variables that complicate that simple narrative. The Left Congress Alliance and the ISF have seen a resurgence in activity. Their presence threatens to split votes in traditional strongholds, making it harder for any single party to secure the landslide many are predicting. There is also the significant factor of migrant workers who have returned to the state specifically to cast their ballots. These workers are returning from jobs in distant cities like Mumbai and Kerala, often carrying frustrations regarding job scarcity and local administration. Their votes bring outside economic pressures directly into rural constituencies. The presence of third-party candidates and returning migrants creates a level of complexity that standard exit polls struggle to capture. These groups are shifting the math in ways that are not yet visible. These long, patient lines suggest that the drivers of this election are deeply personal. While political parties focus on slogans and marketing, the voters in these lines are focused on their own lived realities, from the status of their citizenship to the safety of their families. The high turnout indicates that for these citizens, the stakes of the election have bypassed campaign rhetoric. On May 4th, the results will reveal how these millions of individual decisions have coalesced. The final tally will show which issue was most decisive: securing a legal identity, reliance on household welfare, or the demand for physical safety. A 90% turnout across 152 seats is a clear indication that the population has taken a direct hand in shaping the state's future. It shows that in a moment of perceived crisis, the electorate is capable of overwhelming the system with their physical presence.